another episode of OATS Uncut, Orator Academy Talks Uncut, where our conversations are unscripted, unedited, unfiltered, and of course, uncut. I have the pleasure of the company of a very promising young man, a student of Orator Academy, Yuvaan. Yuvaan, welcome to OATS Uncut.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic. So I'm happy to be doing this outdoors. We can avail before the days get shorter and we lose the daylight.
Yep.
You happy with this?
Yep.
Awesome. So Yuvaan is 13?
13, yeah.
13 years old, freshly minted teenager. But these kids do know sometimes far more than we do. Do you feel like that? Do you have that argument at home sometimes where the parents might say, oh, you don't know. And you say, but I do know.
Yeah.
Happens?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have already surrendered. I have already surrendered to the fact that you will know more than I do. And that is what is most fascinating for me. So we were discussing about healthcare the other day in class. And in fact, it was that whole discussion about what a good candidate, presidential candidate should bring to the table. And that's how the conversation of healthcare came up. And you were very keen on exploring affordable healthcare.
Yeah.
So tell me briefly, what did you find out about it?
So some things I found out about affordable healthcare are that affordable healthcare actually goes by 3 names. It was formerly known as Obamacare, but now can be known as PPCA or ACA. And ACA is what it goes by right now, and it stands for Affordable Care Act. So,
And PPCA?
PPCA is Protection and Affordable Care Act.
So patient protection, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Patient Protection Care Act?
Yep.
Now, what was the need for the government to come up with something like that? A healthcare plan, affordable healthcare plan?
So I think the concern with the government coming up with that was that a lot of people argued that healthcare wasn't cheap and they needed a cheaper way to pay for healthcare, or else they wouldn't be able to actually live freely in America.
And healthcare is expensive.
Yep.
I mean, God forbid you have anything with you, health related. First of all, you don't get appointments. Second of all, you can't afford the care because it's expensive. Doctors' visits are expensive. Screening is expensive. Prescription drugs are expensive. So can everybody avail of affordable care?
Nope. So one of the things about the ACA Act is that you can only qualify for it if you're considered poor with the federal poverty level. So how this works is if you're below a certain yearly income, it'll list you as poor, and if you're not, you're middle class. So if you're middle class, you wouldn't be able to get the benefits of this. And the more members you have in your family, the more money you're allowed to have for your income, because you have to pay for more of your family members.
So if you have a larger family and if you are unemployed, you can sign up for healthcare, or if you're below a certain income level, you can apply for this. So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think this is a good thing, because if people who had more money, who were middle class, were signing up for this, the taxes would rise significantly, and also the government would have to pay for everyone, even though others can pay for themselves. Even if it's not as affordable as they want it to be, they can still pay for it.
Okay, so how does this affect the other insurance industry, the health insurance industry? Does it kind of hinder with that somehow, or?
It does hinder with it a little bit, because when the Affordable Care Act was passed, they also passed a lot more health laws that gave the private health insurance companies more to work with. For example, one of the acts was that you can't have a limit of money that you want to spend on one person. So for example, if I want to sign up for health insurance, the health insurance company couldn't tell me, I can only pay for you under $250,000. If your surgery goes over $250,000, I can't pay for it. They can't say that anymore. So no matter what health insurance plan you have, they can't reject you for that.
Very interesting. You clearly have done a lot of research and know a lot about it. I think I'm learning a couple of new things from you. So great. Why did you choose to explore this subject? I mean, there was lots of choices.
Well, I chose to explore this subject because I looked at it online and I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't know a lot about healthcare to begin with, and I looked more into it, and apparently in a survey, out of 12,000 people, only 60% of people said that they knew all the important details about Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act.
Clearly, I think I did not know all of that you've shared just now. Did you have this discussion after your research? Did you discuss it at home and check how much mom and dad know about this?
Yeah, I did. I asked my dad, and he said he knew a little bit about it, but he didn't sign up for it.
Okay, so did you end up educating him now? Now he knows more about it.
I taught him a little bit more information. Like, I taught him about the money limit on one person, and I also taught him about how businesses are cutting their hours because of these acts, the pros and the cons. And the reason businesses are cutting these hours is because one of the health laws that was passed with the Obamacare Act actually says that if a company has a full-time worker, then the company has to pay for the full-time worker's health insurance. So what companies are doing is they're making sure that their employees don't qualify for a full-time worker so that they don't have to pay for their health insurance.
Fascinating. You are sharing this so eloquently. So you've researched, you know what you're talking about, and you're talking with confidence and articulating beautifully. I can't wait for you to be old enough to be president. Please, would you ever want to sign up for it?
Well, actually, my dad was telling me a little bit about it, and I don't think I really want to be a president. my dad always tells me that politics is like a nasty business, and how it can lead to like a lot of injury.
What do you mean a lot of injury?
Because people want to assassinate you, and people want to take you down, so they'll blackmail you, and they'll do anything they have to do.
So isn't it sad actually that you had this discussion at home and that discouraged you? But no, how many people have been assassinated? Not too many. I mean, thankfully.
But one of the things is, if you're going to be the president, then you won't have as much time to spend with family and friends, because...
That is true. You will not have a personal life.
Yeah, because you have a lot of work to do. You have to serve your country with all you have. And then on top of that, if you want to spend time with your family, you have to have security around you, and it's just a big pain.
It's a big thing, and you lose the time with the family, of course, and your life is an open book. There is no privacy.
Yeah.
You are never on your own. You're always being watched.
Yep.
So that's a bit of a bummer. So is that the only reason, the life-threatening exposure? I mean, would you have not wanted to be the president before your dad told you all of that?
Maybe I probably would have wanted to be the president until second grade, and that's when I started watching movies and stuff about presidents and politics, because my dad watches a lot of Indian movies on that.
But this is the United States. And if you become the president of the United States, one of the strongest countries on the planet, that would be cool. Come on. I want to say, I knew this boy. No? Uh-oh. Okay, so maybe a slightly lesser politician, not all the way up to the president, but maybe Senate, maybe Congress, maybe House, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that would work, yeah.
That would work. Oh, that's interesting. I am meeting a lot of people who are in politics, and actually most of them are really nice people. And I'm hopeful that more nice people come forward. So, like your father said, politics is a bit of a nasty business. That title that ignominy or the negative aspect of politics kind of gets washed away. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, besides healthcare, is there anything else that you wanted to cover that we didn't touch upon about affordable healthcare? Since you've done all this research, and I want to make sure that you share everything that you had.
So, there was only one thing that I think I might have missed, was that with the Affordable Healthcare Act, they actually improved the government-insured healthcare plans. So now more screenings are covered by healthcare, so you're able to do tests and other things. And also more prescriptions are covered. So if you need prescriptions on a daily basis, it's covered. And over time, that adds up to a lot of money. So it's really useful that they added these features.
That's cool. So now, I don't know if you're aware that in many other countries, like people in South America say that the medicines are so much cheaper there. People from India, like when I visit, I find that the same medications are available and fraction of a cost. Maybe fraction of a fraction. It's so cheap. Some antibiotics are available off the shelf and they are so reasonable. And that makes me wonder, why are those same medicines so super expensive here? Because of all that price of the drugs and medication, healthcare has become so unaffordable. Mm-hmm. Will you also look into that at some point?
Yeah, I probably will.
Because I think that connects to this subject. And that has always been a concern. Why are the medicines so expensive? And actually, in India, I was talking to somebody from South America recently, and they were saying that when they travel back to their country, they pick up a lot of medications and bring here so that they don't have to buy from here because it's so expensive. Now there's something called medical tourism. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
Okay. It's been happening for a long time. I'm sure you'll be interested in looking this up. Medical tourism is people going to another country where treatments are cheaper. Because even despite the insurance coverage, you still end up paying so much from your pocket in the United States. The same amount, they can pay, actually less than the same amount of copay. They will pay for a full treatment in one of these other countries where you get the same treatment, even better care, and fraction of a cost.
I think I've heard of something similar to that. I think I've heard of people who have rare conditions or special conditions that aren't getting treated well in America, as in their doctors don't know what the condition is or they're not treating it correctly. They go to other countries like India, maybe China, somewhere else. They go consult the doctor there, and then the doctor there gives them the cure and gives them the information that they need to know.
Yeah, honestly, and those are effective ways of, approaching this whole medical treatment business. So many years ago, one of our uncles had actually gone to India for a full dental implant. He was old. His teeth were falling. He went and stayed there for a couple of months. And, he had family to stay with. So he wasn't paying for hotel accommodation. He just had to pay for his medical bills, and it was 1/10 the cost that he would have paid here. So I think that's another thing that we need to look into. One more thing that bothers me about our healthcare industry here is that you make your well visits with the doctor, but God forbid you are actually sick, you will not get an appointment. I had an ear infection and I was in excruciating pain. I was calling the recommended ENTs and I was getting an appointment for 3 months later. And I was actually arguing over the phone. First of all, I was in pain, so I was losing my mind. And I was arguing with the lady on the phone and telling her, I'm in pain now. How good an appointment 3 months later will be for me. It's of no use to me. I need to be taken care of now. So crazy things. I mean, I luckily knew somebody and that person got me in out of turn. But then why do we always need to know somebody to get your work done, right? I mean, fortunately, I could be looked at, taken care of within a day.
I think I had something similar to that as well, because I think 2 months ago I had a cold and the doctor did some tests on me and it wasn't any of the common colds and it wasn't anything that they identified. So they just said that it was some viral fever. So we wanted to go to the doctor to get it checked out again when it persisted 3 days later. So we went to the doctor's office, we called them, and then they were full. And then they said to come back in an hour. So then we called them in an hour, and they were closed in that hour. So at that point, we actually had to go to the urgent care to just get my viral fever treated, because my dad wanted to know if I could go to school the next day.
Yeah, so that happened with somebody also, that they had an appendix pain, and if the appendix bursts, it's a big problem then. So they were rushed to emergency. They were waiting for over 4 hours in emergency, and while waiting, their appendix ruptured. And that was a huge mess. So what a shame. What does emergency mean? It's emergent. It needs immediate attention. 4 hours of waiting and the patient suffered more being in the hospital. So lots of things to be corrected. So when you run for president, what do you think is the first thing, if you were to run for president today, what would be the first thing that you would try to fix?
If I were to run for president today,
would you sort this out?
Yeah.
You'd keep affordable healthcare and you'll fix the doctor's waiting time?
Yeah.
And you'll make just everything cheaper?
I think what I would do to make everything better and higher quality is I would make sure that the wages for doctors went up so more people would want to be doctors and their quality of work would go up because let's say they would get more vacation days or they would get more paid leave. We did some research on that last week in class, and that leads to getting more efficiency done in the workplace and more work done, and you're able to focus more on your work.
So there are always ways around correcting things, and I'm so glad that you're already noticing and looking into things, because if you start researching into what the real world is like at this age, our world has hope. It was great talking to you, Yuvaan. It was absolutely a pleasure. Thank you for your time, and thank you for coming to OATS Uncut with me. I love it.
Thank you.
All right, this was another episode of OATS Uncut. Very grateful to Yuvaan Bharat for his time and his expert research on affordable healthcare. Have a safe and wonderful day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are at. Lots and lots of love. OATS Uncut. OATS out. Can't we say?
OATS out.
OATS out.
Bye.
Bye.